The sun rose, painting the sky in orange and pink. Below, green fields stretched out. This was the world outside Eden, new and untamed. Two brothers worked here, Cain, the elder, tilling the soil with determined hands, and Abel, the younger, tending his flock with gentle care. Cain's life was a daily struggle with the earth, feeling its resistance and its gifts. Abel's world was the soft bleating of sheep, the trust of his flock, and the miracle of new life. From afar, they seemed united. Two sons of Adam and Eve working under the same sky. But a quiet space separated them, not of anger but of difference. Cain's world was the stubborn ground, Abel's, the living flock. They shared the sun, but their hearts tilled different soil. Between them hung a silence, holding the seeds of a story that would change humanity. This is a story about choices, about what we offer to God, and what grows in our hearts when we feel unseen. It's ancient, but it's also your story. Watch to the end and consider these brothers. If this story moves you, like, subscribe, and share. Let's spread the message of God's grace and His warnings. Let's understand the choices that shape our lives. This is more than a tale, it's a lesson for our souls. Two brothers, two hearts, one dawn. The story begins. Let's see what happens next. The time for worship arrived. Cain brought the fruit of his fields, grain and vegetables, the work of his hands. He placed them on the altar, proud of his effort. Abel brought a firstborn lamb, the best of his flock, a gift of life, a true sacrifice. Blood was shed, a symbol that life must cover sin. Abel's heart was humble, knowing his gift was small before a great God. God looked with favor on Abel's offering, a sign of acceptance, perhaps fire from heaven or a deep peace. Abel felt joy and gratitude, his faith was honored. But Cain's offering was left untouched, no sign, only silence. Cain's pride twisted into anger and despair. Why was Abel accepted and not him? Jealousy took root in Cain's wounded heart. His gaze shifted from the altar to his brother. The seed of resentment began to grow. Two offerings, two responses. The difference was not in the gift, but in the heart. The story darkens. What will Cain do with his pain? The answer will shape everything. Let's continue. Cain's anger grew, clouding his face and heart. He could not celebrate Abel's joy. Envy poisoned him. God saw the darkness and spoke gently. Why are you angry? Why has your face fallen? God offered Cain a choice. If you do what is right, you'll be accepted. But if not, sin is crouching at your door, a predator waiting to strike. Sin desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Cain was not helpless. He could master his feelings. The battle was in his heart. God drew the line. Choose righteousness or let sin rule. The warning was clear, the choice was Cain's. Would he listen? Would he master the beast within? The moment hung in silence. The next step would decide everything. Sin waits at every door. The story moves to its turning point. What will Cain choose? The answer is near. Watch closely. The shadow deepens. Cain did not listen. Jealousy drowned out God's warning. He lured Abel to the field, hiding his anger behind a smile. Abel, trusting, followed. There Cain struck, killing his brother. The first murder, the first blood spilled on earth. The ground drank Abel's blood, the soil Cain once tilled. God called to Cain, "Where is your brother?" Cain lied, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" God's sorrow was deep. "Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." The earth itself testified against Cain. Sin could not be hidden. Judgment was coming. The ground would now resist Cain. His sin was exposed. The story of two brothers had become a tragedy. The consequences unfold. Darkness settles. God's judgment was severe. The ground would no longer yield crops for Cain. He became a restless wanderer, exiled from home and purpose. Cain cried out, fearing for his life, yet God showed mercy. He marked Cain for protection, forbidding vengeance. Cain left, a wanderer in the land of Nod. The story could have ended in darkness, but God brings new beginnings. Adam and Eve had another son, Seth, a new hope. Through Seth's line, people began to call on the name of the Lord. After blood and exile, worship returned. The cry of blood was answered by the cry of faith. Even in tragedy, God's grace remains. The story of Cain and Abel warns and invites us. What will we choose? The lesson is for every heart. Seek God even after the darkest night. Hope always returns.